We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for other mints. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices, I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, they wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the Fans Forum. We are live and as always, an hour to chat with the lads about the game that we've just witnessed yesterday at Stamford Bridge. Newcastle losing by 2-1, and the bad run continues. No win in 5 games, and occasionally I do like to give my view. I was at the game yesterday, and just looking at the team, I thought I would do it this way and just go through my views, just so I can tell you how I saw the game. Nick Pope. First of all, I got in the ground nice and early. Been a lot on this channel where people have said that they think he's susceptible on the side that he had the operation on, that he's wary of going down, etc. A couple of things about Nick Pope. First of all, in the warm-up, he was tested severely left and right, and there's no issues as far as I was concerned. I was right behind the goal where he was warming up, and he's certainly not got anything in his mind when he's warming up with regards to that side. In the warm-up as well, every time he comes out, and if you check out on one of the short videos that I took, he collects the ball in his hands. So why in the game he punches the ball continuously, I'll never know. I think that puts us under pressure. It's a decision-making thing, I guess. But yesterday, Nick Pope, by his own standard, again, probably had a half-decent game, but the goal that he let in at that near post was awful. That was his mistake. I'd love to know whether he was unsighted, but I genuinely think that Nick Pope could have done better with that. Let's look at the centre-halves. Fabian Schär and Dan Burn. Both of them have been criticised quite heavily by supporters online and by people who I was in and around yesterday, either at the ground or on the tube heading back to King's Cross. I'll give it from where I saw it, behind the goal. Within the first 2 minutes, Newcastle were breached, and Dan Burn and Shaw were in conversation about how they would sort it out. They never had a cat and hell's chance of sorting that out because they got sucked into midfield yesterday. And that was because the midfield let us down massively. The midfield were poor yesterday from start to finish. In fact, we only started to look competent in midfield, unbelievably, when Murphy came on. And the rest of the team, I felt, let us down in midfield. I think it put Burn and Shaw under pressure. They both got pulled into midfield, and that's why they got caught out of position. And we know Shaw and Burn aren't the quickest players. And because of that, getting dragged out of position and into midfield and pushing up too far with this, trying to do the high press, they got caught out. And it could have been 4 or 5-1. I couldn't believe the stats when I got home and looked at the stats to see that we'd actually had 49% possession. It didn't feel like that, believe you me. Where XG was actually better than Chelsea's on the day. In fact, that was summed up. There we go. Newcastle's XG 1.85 compared to Chelsea's 1.68. Yet Eddie Howe's team only mustered 3 efforts on target, despite having 24 touches in the box and 11 shots. Sound familiar? Yep. Newcastle had 35 shots, 87 touches in the box, and an XG of 4 in total in games against Brighton and Everton. Still failed to score. From high turnovers to big chances, there are a number of metrics Newcastle are down in this season. Another thing which I mentioned last week quite heavily, corners. 50 corners Newcastle have had this season. Goals from corners, 0, zilch, nada, right? That comes down to your midfield and your forwards, not your centre-halves. So where are we going wrong in the midfield for me? Joelinton, Tonali, and Bruno. You could pick any one of 3 there. Let's talk Bruno first, just because he's the captain. Bruno shouldn't be captain. I have not seen one thing that Bruno has done this season as captain that has made me say that was the right decision. I think the pressure is weighing down heavily on his shoulders, and I think it's affected his game. I don't think Bruno is a captain, and I watch him every time we go a goal down. And you know what? He's slamming his hands around on the ground. He's kicking things and kicking the air in frustration. He's not giving his teammates any advice. I heard him once yesterday, and he turned around to say, "Good save to Nick Pope." Apart from that, nothing yesterday. So Bruno, for me, I would remove the captaincy. As for Tonali and Joelinton, I think Joelinton, bearing in mind he's hovering on a suspension, I thought was probably the best of the 3. But again, didn't have a very good game by his own standards. Tonali is an enigma for me. I personally would say in January, if Milan want him back and we're going to sell somebody to help PSR, that's who I would sell. I would sell Tonali. I don't think he has done anything to warrant the headlines, etc. And bear in mind, we lost him for a full season through his own illness. I personally feel that's who I would let go if we've got to let a big name go. Harvey Barnes, spoke about him many times on this show. Harvey Barnes, again, he's an impact player. He is not somebody who can start. And yesterday's performance was weak and it was poor. And I genuinely don't really understand why we made such a big move for Harvey Barnes. But I think Harvey Barnes, again, like most people in the midfield, let us down. Miguel Almiron should not be playing for Newcastle United's first team now. Unfortunately, as much as I love him, as much as I like him and respect what he's done at Newcastle, Miguel Almiron is not a Newcastle United Premiership first team player. And I'll say it again, I'm sure on this show, before he eventually leaves the club, how on earth must he feel knowing that Newcastle have tried to sell him in the last 2 transfer windows? How do you motivate yourself to play for a team when you know you're not wanted? I'm struggling with that. Alexander Isak, delighted to see him score his goal yesterday. Right place, right time. That's what we know him for. I would agree with people saying he's not 100% fit. I don't think he is. I still think he's thinking about his toe. It's probably still giving him a bit of grief, but he was in the right place at the right time. Should have passed the ball to Joelinton, and we might have got a fortuitous, I would have said, 2-2 draw. But ultimately for me, the substitutes who came on, we haven't got a strong enough bench. Look at that bench. 2 goalkeepers, Emil Kraft, Asula, Murphy, Kelly, Willock, Longstaff, Miley. Players who made a difference. Willock, yes, definitely gave us an option. Combined well with Murphy on occasions. It gave us a little bit of urgency. Probably the only time for me that the press looked as if it was working. Not sure where Eddie Howe saw 25 minutes in each half that he was pleased with, but certainly that last 6 minutes of injury time where Newcastle's urgency suddenly kicked in, realizing that they needed to try and get something out of the game. But that was down to those 2 players. Longstaff, he's no good coming on so late in the game. I thought we might have seen Miley yesterday. I thought that was more of a game for Miley. And Asula, again, fairly ineffective, not coming on for a great deal of time, and not a great thing to be not a great deal to be shouting off there. So that's it, lads. Not very often I take up 10 minutes of the show myself, but I was there yesterday. I felt I wanted to give an honest opinion about what I saw. What do we do? Where do we go from here is the big question. But Wednesday night, as I've already said on my social media, is a huge, huge, huge game. And that can make or break our season. If we can get through, even on a penalty shootout on Wednesday, that last 8th position in that cup will give momentum to Newcastle. And we might be able to turn it around. Because whether you like stats or not, the XG isn't bad. And in these last few games, we were a Gordon penalty away from 3 points, which we all watched collectively together. We were 2 goals going in out of 21 shots against Brighton away from getting a result against them. And we were a Isak pass away from getting a point at Chelsea last night. But it's fine margins. And when you let your standards drop in the Premier League, you're asking for trouble. And at the moment, Newcastle are in trouble. They're in a bit of free fall. So that's my view, George. I will hand over to you. Give us your views on yesterday's game.
Well, I'll just say ditto and move on. No, seriously, it's so frustrating because you've nearly said it yourself, Steve, and I'll continue on the same theme. With a little bit more steadiness and a little bit of fair wind, we would have got a point out of that game. We should have had a penalty before they scored their first goal. Isak's goal that was wiped off should never have been wiped off. I don't care what angle they showed on the television. The referee said that Isak had pushed Palmer to get when the ball bounced over Palmer's head. That's all that happened. The ball bounced over Palmer's head and he lost his footing. He's stretching for it. Isak didn't foul him, but it was wiped off. And then towards the end, there was a couple of times when Isak had used his football brain instead of his backside. He could have laid one goal on and scored another one himself. So that's what's frustrating for me. But we're not playing well. There's all sorts of people who were used to being great or at least good, have suddenly gone off the boil. I agree with you with Miggy Almiron. A guy who has the sort of outlook that he does, happy-go-lucky. How is it? He can play like a hero for Paraguay and then come back to us and do absolutely nothing. But of course, he's playing in his proper position for Paraguay. He's not playing stuck out on the wing. He's playing as a number 10. But yeah, I agree with you. How he can wind himself up after knowing that while he was for 2 windows now, been desperate to try and sell him. Tonali is, you said enigma. I think that's not a bad word. He is a brilliant player. We've got to learn to harness that player. And I certainly wouldn't be selling him back to Milan unless there was an awful lot of money in it. He's just played 3 internationals, and he wasn't just good in them. He was the star in each of them. So why can't we've got to harness that for Newcastle United? Bruno, well, my view of Bruno from the minute he was made captain, that it was a mistake, and I've seen nothing to change my mind. In fact, after his interview yesterday, I just was more determined that he shouldn't be. And then watching one or two of the rows he had with players on the pitch, he had a row with Longstaff. He had a row with Shaw. He wasn't doing the old-fashioned Captain Courageous thing. He was just being angry and, as you say, kicking anything that moved so that he could vent his spleen. But while he's doing that, he's not playing football. And that Bruno's no good to us either. It may have been a blessing in disguise. Well, the people who decided to put 100 million on him to hope that they would sell him in the transfer window in January, it might have been a blessing in disguise if somebody had bought him, but because there's nobody who could afford to buy him, the idiots that did that. But he's certainly not captain material in my view as well. So there's it could go on and on and on. And you're absolutely right. When the midfield was changed and got somebody on with a bit of pace, e.g. Murphy, it disrupted them. They found that hard to handle, and I don't mind admitting it. I got quite a giggle out of that because they started a run in all directions because they couldn't handle the pace, and that's the other trouble with our bench for me. It was a nice match for young Miley to come into. He lacks pace as well. We haven't got midfield that can break away and leave the rest behind like we were used to. Like we're used to having with Gary Speed, Peter Beardsley, you name them. They all had the skill, but they all had an extra yard of pace that got them free of the people that are chasing them. And that's why Murphy made a difference yesterday, because he has the pace. That's the one thing he's got in his locker that the others don't have. So, it's frustrating because we could have easily come out of that match at least with a point. And their second goal, if you're going to pass the ball to anybody in our team, you think he'll control it, because you'd expect it of Isak. Well, he didn't, did he? He passed it straight into the path of Cole Palmer, and bang, it was in the back of the net. So, and as I say, add to that we had three stalwarts from last year and the year before: Pope, Byrne, and Shaw. All three, in their own way, played poorly yesterday. You can get away with that when you have teams firing elsewhere, but when they're just not firing anywhere at the moment, and that's the very frustrating thing. Wednesday night is not just a pivotal night for us supporters and the team. I think it is for Eddie Howe as well, because if our form stays the way it is up to Christmas, January window will not just be looking for players, in my view, because he's got to take some responsibility as well. So I'll stop there, otherwise I'll go on all night.
Okay, thanks, George. Yeah, and I agree. Listen, some people saying you haven't mentioned how, I think Howe does take responsibility and has to take responsibility for the team selections. There isn't a plan B. There is not a plan B, and we've said this countless times on here. But ultimately, there has been a big letdown in the last two transfer windows with personnel. But we'll go around in circles because it's all the stuff that we've mentioned previously. But, he has to start getting a tune out of this team sooner rather than later. And if he can't do that, then he will, like Ten Hag has today, pay the ultimate price, which is with a P45 and losing his job. Darren, give us your views.
I was forming up the match because I watched start up the first 2 minutes. Dan Burn runs up to Nicholas Jackson, tries to tackle him. He doesn't get tackled. He leaves Dan Burn for dead. And we all know Dan Burn's got the pace. He's still not too up for me now, running forward too much and trying to stop the ball. And the boat just 2 seconds off yesterday told me that they're no longer Premiership quality anymore. Yes, Dan Burns, he's been a great servant and he's done good for the two in the past. But yes, on the first goal we conceded, Nicholas Jackson was with 5 yards in front of him. And we scored the goal, Dan Burn 20 yards behind him. Dan Burn was jogging back yesterday. When Colin Palmer played the ball, Dan Burn was jogging back. I'm sorry. Why is he not sprinting back? I was forming, and he had a bad game all day. And to me, that tells me he's no longer a Premiership player anymore, Dan Burn. I know he's been a great servant and he's done good for the tune, but in Shaw, but I'll keep Shaw. I think he's got a bit more quality than Dan Burn because we haven't got a right side centre half. I will say the midfield let the defence down badly. 100%. I agree with Bruno. He's not a captain. Never has been. I think make him captain. He's took his eye out to play football. But the formation's not working. The three midfield's not working. We all can see it. How can Eddie Howe not see it? And then it comes to a bad thing. You've got to bring an Amber on. Yeah, he doesn't know much, and then you've got to bring Jacob Murphy on. And then like that just ends in the year we're going to get beat. I think Tino done more runs than Murphy, mind you, George. I don't know. I didn't see Tino Lamento. He was running down more than Murphy.
They work well together, like they sometimes do.
I don't think they do, George. I just think Tino was more creative on the right hand side. Murphy's got. You know, people, Murphy, but Sean Longstaff, come on, he's done all right. Joe Willock, he should be starting next game. And I think like he should be starting next game. You need to change the formation. The 4-3-3 is not working anymore.
I would go 4-4. I would go 4-4-2, Darren, and because that way you would get that way you would get the best out of Livramento and Hall at fullbacks. Yeah. It would make it easier for Dan Burn and Shaw.
I wouldn't play Dan Burn next game, Steve. I'd drop him.
I wouldn't play Lloyd Kelly. I think we've signed two players who are not good enough for this team. Lloyd Kelly.
I just don't think he's had a chance, Lord Steve. You know what I mean? And I like people saying Lloyd Kelly. To me, he hasn't had a chance. Give him a chance. He's only played like one game. He needs a regular chance against the team. But like, I just think to me that Dan Burn now, I'm done with him. I don't think he's saying new contract now, we should never give him the contract.
Yeah, but it was an extension in his contract, an automatic extension.
Oh, right. Sorry, I don't know. I wish he didn't get the extension, to be fair. But I was forming. The first goal I was forming, I really was. Well, a local guy just jogging back when they play the ball. I've got
to be perfectly honest. That was a hell of a ball. It was a brilliant ball.
I'm not on about that, Steve. I'm on about
Tino Livramento. You couldn't blame him. It was just a pinpoint ball. More disappointed that Fabian Shaw didn't try and push the kid out wide instead of going for this dive. He didn't connect, and then of course it was, you know, Dan Burn was jogging back, as you say, with regards to Nicholas Jackson in the middle.
Jackson he pushed Jackson, and he's about 5 yards in front of him, and the next thing you know, he's ahead of him. Sorry, but Premiership level, Steve, he shouldn't be doing that.
Isak gave the ball away for both goals as well.
And then the second goal, Nick Pope just gave that a little damn. Sorry. Again, he's errors have come. Okay, now I don't think he's a world-class goalkeeper anymore. Now he's average. So I for once, I agree with Spenny after he was seeing another goalkeeper. Spenny, you're right. I do apologise. You are right. Another goalkeeper now.
Right. We can't afford to buy one player in the bloody in the last transfer window. Now we're wanting a centre half, a centre forward, a centre midfielder, a right winger, and another goalkeeper to go with the goalkeeper in academy. We seem to be saying.
And a new stadium.
And a new stadium.
Just a few things, you know what I mean?
And I'm potentially a new manager if we get beaten the next 2 games.
Yeah, the new stadium's probably the easiest one of the lot.
Oh yeah, I don't think so.
That's the way around the way.
Struggling with that. We seem to be struggling with that as well.
That'll stand still as well as the back four.
Go on, Barry. I know you only saw the highlights of this, but it sometimes means you can give a different perspective on it.
I was going to say we're going through this. I mean, last week we were slagging Willock off. Darren's just said Willock changed the game. He looked like a different player. Murphy was getting slated last week. This week he's had a good thing. I was listening to what you were saying, Steve, about how the midfield let the defence down. I agree with Darren to some extent that Burn isn't the quickest of players. I think Shaw's having an absolute nightmare, and I think the two together are struggling. I totally agree with you, Steve. Kelly is not the answer. He's a mediocre centre half who we got for now, and he was meant to be a squad player. Again, I think he's right in what you're saying that Tonali and Bruno, I don't think are going to work together. I think, for me, in the same respect of what we've done with Barnes and Gordon, Gordon should be your first choice. Barnes should come on late on when Gordon's maybe running out. Try and add something else to it. Maybe it's the same with Bruno and Tonali. I mean, they're both good players. I seriously think Tonali, given his chance and given time, will be a better player than Bruno. I think Bruno's reached his limit of what he can do in the team. I totally agree that. I mean, I said this at the time. The captaincy is a joke for Bruno. He doesn't have any oomph about him. He doesn't gel the players. I know what we're saying, and we've said this till we're blue in the face about captains aren't what they used to be. But his game's been crap since he got it. You know, is it the pressure? Is Joe Linton's been crap all season? But yet Howe won't drop him either. Bruno and Joe Linton seem to get picked regardless of how bad they are. I mean, I'm not Longstaff's biggest fan, but I mean, it's been said on here how many times recently as well. Longstaff, when Longstaff plays, we very rarely get beat. Maybe it's time to put him back in for one of those two. Drop. I would drop Joe Linton for me. I think he's been absolutely shocking. He doesn't look half the player he did. Isak, he's nowhere near fit. He's been pushed back in the team when he's nowhere near. But we haven't got anybody else, like you said, Steve. The transfer window was a joke. It's left us with huge gaping holes. Howe doesn't seem prepared to chance people other than his favourites. But I'm still not. I'm disgusted with some of the fans shouting for Eddie Howe out. I think you've got to give the guy a chance to fix it. You know, he's had nothing, no reinforcements or anything for 2 transfer windows, if not more. Give him a chance to put it right. You know, Howe got us to the position we're in. And quite frankly, who else are they going to bring in at this stage? Who would want to take this job with no money? You know what I mean? Until we get to that stage, we're not going to, somebody who works at, we'll get Zinedine Zidane in. Who else do you think Zidane would come to Newcastle? He'd frigging laugh his arse off. He's not got to Man United because they're a joke, let alone coming to us.
I mean, Ancelotti went to Everton, didn't he? You know, Ancelotti went to Everton.
I think the call would have put a buff league.
Howe should at least get the chance to do something in the January transfer window. If it doesn't work, fine, at the end of the season, do something about it. But then everybody says, well, you can't buy anybody in January anyway because it's a bad transfer time. Nobody wants to sell anybody. Well, for me, this is where our Mr. Mitchell's got to earn his money. He's got to bring people in to reinforce it and improve the squad.
Okay, Kev, give us your take on the match yesterday and well, just what you've heard from the lads. And
well,
happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm on the way downward slope of get over that hill a little bit today. Yeah, 40 today. So yeah, the downward decline begins, just like our back 4 and midfield and the whole bloody 11. It was typical Newcastle United to spoil a bloody birthday weekend. You know what I mean? But no, I thought it was poor, and that's been kind. I thought, again, like I've said previously, both ends of the pitch were pretty much inept defensively, and on the attacking sense, it was very, very poor. I'll go through the goals. I thought, well, Chelsea done us over tactically. Eddie got done. Basically, they inverted our back 4. We went man to man. They tried to press the 2 centre half. Darren mentioned it earlier with Dan Burn trying with Jackson, try and get close to him. He was nowhere near him, and that happened for the goal. Why is Fabian Shaw sliding in to try and take out Neto? I've got no idea. Just stand up and force him out. All these simple defensive areas, defensive decisions, what you know as a pro should do, and it's schoolboy football, essentially, and simple defending. And basically, Chelsea played one on us and just getting balls in behind when we inverted and you isolate the 2 fullbacks. And not saying that they haven't got pace, but if you isolate them with pace, because pretty much Chelsea played a back 6 essentially when we had the ball, and then moved into a box midfield and just dumped it over the top. Cole Palmer played in between the lines and absolutely destroyed us essentially. And it was like a practice match for him. He usually had a fat Cuban cigar out there for him all game. Again, the second one, poor first touch from Isak. Shaw needed to get closer to Palmer. Don't care how good he is. If you decrease your space from denying a finish, then You know, that doesn't happen. If you force, again, it's simple stuff. It's not rocket science. Even George, going back all the way back into the 50s, that's what you're told to do. You told them to delay. You told them to force them out. On not he's weaker foot, but to force them away from goal because it's obvious a bigger distance to goal to shoot. That's not rocket science. It's pretty simple stuff here. But obviously, I think internally there's something where the message again is not getting across of what is needed to be done. And for the life of me, I don't know why he's playing a 4-3-3. I really don't, because they overloaded our midfield. We couldn't get close. We've got no pace in there. Tonali's and Joe Linton's really the only one that's got a bit of pace to recover. Once the line's broken, we're done. And then our back four backtrack. They give them too much space and time, and nobody wants to take responsibility. So, yeah, some of the substitutions, I don't know why he took Tonali off. I thought he was one of the better players on the pitch for us, in my opinion. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand why he's bringing him off after 60 minutes.
It all the time, though. It's consistent all the time. It's getting bored.
Oh, I know. Absolutely. And it's like a head scratcher. It's like, why are you pulling him off for? He's probably one of your blue chip players who could probably get something out of the game for you, or defensively, whatever it is. You know, he might win you the game. I don't know, but it's a genuine head scratcher. But yeah, overall, like I think George said it. I think once we got about them, once we got a little bit closer to them, once we forced them into errors defensively in their own attack defensive third, they didn't look too great either. You know what? But is once they broke our press, or what if you can call it a press, once they broke on us with 6 or 7 players flying forward, that's when they looked the better side. In my opinion, it was there was a much of a muchness. Not too poor sides. They're better than us, in my opinion. But there was much of a muchness. It was just depending on who would win the tactical battle. And Maresca done one on Eddie, and Eddie needs to have a good, honest, hard look at himself to have a think about how to go about it, what to change. Like if jumping off Barry, if he needs to change it, he needs to do something drastic. He needs to do something. He needs to take a bigger risk in terms of just playing a 4-3-3. I've said 4-2-3-1. Even Steve, you said 4-4-2. Why not go back to a basic where you can have some potential success? So I don't know what he's going to do. I'm not calling for his head, but I think he's I don't know. The pier's getting a little bit shorter for him. He's hanging. He's making his own bed, so he's got a line. He's pretty much going to be hanging himself here soon. It happened with down at Bournemouth when they were very successful from League One Championship into the Premier League. Then just went on a slippery slope backwards when he was there because he got found out. So now he's getting found out. If he's that good of a manager, if England were all over him, you know, in terms of that process, and he was the number one target, why can't you change it? If you're that good, you've got to change it. You've got to figure it out if you're that good of a manager. So, yeah, overall, crap. Overall, spoiled my birthday. But at the end of the day, it's a game of football. And, you know, there's much things bigger than life in a game of football, in my opinion. So, yeah, that was my take on it. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday night. And I totally agree that it's probably the biggest game of our season, in which will determine which direction we'll go.
400 watching on YouTube. Thanks very much. If you're tuning in for the first time, hit the subscribe button. Spenny, give us your views, mate, on the match at the weekend and what you've heard from the lads. I mean, you know, it sounds so far like most people are in agreement. We're all going to disagree, I guess, on different players. But what was your overall take about yesterday's result?
Well, last week I singled out Murphy for being crap. We had 7 players on that pitch who were crap on there yesterday. There you go. I'm not singling any players out. Tino and Hall and Pope was set before the goal. Even kicking the ball out better now, Pope. I've noticed that. The rest of them are a load of shit. Isak was walking around like their lasses just told them off. Couldn't even put a smile on his face when he scored. So I don't know what the hell he's going on about there. I don't know why the hell We've got nothing after Gordon on the wings. Why don't we put Sanusi on? Get a bit pace on. Lad who wants to try. Have a go at players. Get him on the pitch. He's a lot better than Billy Armour on the Murphy and Billy Barnes. Barnes is just walking around like he's waiting for the red light off the traffic light to go off. Bruno, he's walking about like a walking stick when we're getting attacked by the defence. You watch them and he's walking along and he's Talani's him and past him, trying to defend for the defenders. It's a load of bloody shit, if you ask me. What's frustrating is these chances we've missed to get a result from this game. If the other team had these chances, they would have scored. That's the most frustrating thing about it. Absolutely. And what the problem is, as you said, Steve, it's the really club. That's the problem. They never backed Howe in the last 2 windows. Did it about for a £70 million centre-back, which they knew they couldn't get, which they could have gotten 2 players for, who could have made a difference this season. Last season, we were scoring goals for it all over. Same team as this season. We're even improving this team because we've got Tonali. We can't score for Buddy. It's a load of crap. It's like watching bloody Sunderland in the League One. That's how bad it is. But for me, you can't blame Eddie Howe. Yes, he's got no backup plan on the bench. He needs to put the young ones on. Get Marley on if he's fit enough. Get Zanussi on if he's fit enough. Give the lads a go who's going to have a try. Because the people that's coming on that pitch or having a go, like Barnes is or Murphy, they're not trying. They're not trying for a place. George will tell you, Kev will tell you, the lads will tell you, when you're getting in that team, you play your heart out to get your place back. None of them players are doing that for me. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, Pablo, over to you, mate. It's another week, another bad result.
Yeah. Looking at Chelsea and isolate, we mentioned it last week. I said I don't think we'll get out for 4 weeks. The one that I would have picked was Nottingham Forest. We would, as fans, look at the Forest game. They've got the tails in the air. So for me, I expected it. I expected us to actually get pumped by Chelsea, given the recent form and the recent kind of effort we've shown. Looking at that game in isolation, I'm going to do it again. I pick Shah out all the time because I just don't see him as a centre-back in the Premier League. I've said to it in our chat this week, put him in Galatasaray as a number 6. He will look a world beater. He'll spray the ball around. He will look like fucking Zidane. He is not a Premier League defender, and that is skill set, as in he doesn't have the pace. He doesn't make the right decisions. People have picked up on it, and I agree with a lot of what you said, Steve. So the wind is taken out of my sails by a lot of the lads as well. But when Shah's going across to that ball, you are taught as a junior footballer defender, stand the guy up. Clearly, the guy's got more pace than you. So what do? You don't dive in and allow that. That's mistake number 1. And it is an individual mistake. Even though the midfielder allowed it to happen, I'm picking him out because it was the end result of a goal. For me, the Cole Palmer goal, he's left in that position by a midfield that just looked like they looked so disjointed, like they couldn't give a hoot that they're playing. Cole Palmer's running at him. What do? Do you stand off? Do you stand up? No, you go and press the ball. Even if you've got to go and press that ball. And then he's not done that. Cole Palmer's fired it in the cut, and then it's job done, isn't it? Isak, when he scored, Spenny picked up on it. If I'm a Premier League footballer and I score a goal, I'm running to that corner flag, taking my shorts off and showing you all what I've had for dinner. He didn't even look like he cared. Does not look like he cares. And all of this is a culmination of you reap what you sow. We're for 2 transfer windows, and for a couple of years, we've done nothing about it at top management level, at middle management level, and now Eddie Howe's picking up the pieces. Now, yes, he gets things wrong. His post-match interview has annoyed the living shit out of me because it's like he was watching a different game. And I don't know who he's trying to fool with some of the comments that he's coming out with. I'm actually an Eddie Howe fan, and I think he's dealing with a very average squad that is getting found out. It's hard picking individuals every week because it's clear they're making individual errors, but they're not good enough. The players that we would eulogise over and we would call them world class when we finished, in the Champions League. Your big hitters are just not even turning up. Now, to me, I know what I feel about that. I think they've down tools because they know we're not going to get anywhere. They know that the investment stopped, so to speak, and they're not willing to stick around for the next 2 or 3 years while we pick it back up. They want quick moves now. So your big boys like your Joe Lintons and your Brunos, I think they've got one eye on buggering off. I disagree with what you say about Tonali, Steve. I think he's the one shining light in that middle that I would build around. He shows qualities that we demand as simple Newcastle fans. 5-10 years ago, all we want as Newcastle fans is a team that run their ass off every week. And if we win, we win. It's great. But if we don't win, we've run our ass off and give it a bash. At the minute, we're not even running our ass off. And that's unforgivable. Not just as Newcastle, that's unforgivable in a football team. So we are where we are. It's where I thought we would be. I think we're going to be talking about this for the next 3 weeks. I hope we're not. But that's where we are, lads. It's frustrating. It's crap. Kev asked me last night, how do we fix it on the chat? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know how it's fixed. Couldn't tell you. But yeah, I'm in limbo land like probably the rest of you lads.
Like I said, Lee, sorry, I forgot this bit as well. We get beat on Wednesday. That's our season over, the way we play.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay. Alan?
Well, how can I follow Pablo on that? Virtually every word he said is what I believe in as well. I thought on the positive side, lads, I think Remento and Hall were good. They're the future. I've said it before. We've got an Asian back line. Never mind a right winger and a striker. We've got Trippier 34, Burn 33, Shaw 33, Lascelles 30. We've got to replace all them in the next 18 months. We're talking about a lad like you said, Stephen Barry, Lloyd Kelly, that I agree with Darren, has never even been given a chance, and yet you're both saying he's not good enough for it. So why is he here? Asula's not getting a chance. Isak didn't look bothered after he scored, like Pablo said. And, it's so frustrating because what shocked me the most, lads, and George touched on it actually going forward, is when we lose the ball, the midfield three are so lacking pace. My mum's 91 and got a Zimmer frame, and so she could run faster than some of them. It was staring us in the face when you lose the ball upfield. We've got absolutely zero pace in midfield, so the defence is split. I agree with you, Steve. The midfield was so poor, and it's your midfield that control. If the midfield protects the back line, Shaw and Burn would not be exposed. That second goal showed you Pryor has got to be number 6 or somebody sitting there in front of them. It was clear as day, and number 6 required after that second goal Chelsea scored. Again, what Pablo says, how do you fix that when Eddie Howe's got 8 or 9 players I would mention of, we all know the names, that shouldn't be here, but he's been let down so badly, and yet fans outside are calling for Eddie Howe's head, and the next 2 games we'll lose them too. We're playing against, Chelsea, who spent $2 billion. We're playing against Arsenal, who are fighting for the title. And I agree again with Pablo. Starting these 4 games, Nottingham Forest on a high, they're flying. Did anybody seriously expect to beat Chelsea? And that's the damned indictment. I don't think many were ever thought would win them yesterday because the squad hasn't been improved. And the belief on the players' faces, I don't think they had the belief that they were going to win yesterday either. I really didn't. The last 2 transfer windows have shown if you stand still, you go backwards. We're 12th in the league, and until we get new players in, if Eddie Howe had a squad like Chelsea's and we're playing as badly as we are, or should I say getting the results we are, then I would say sack him tomorrow. Like Ten Hag. Ten Hag's got a good squad, but them players are not playing for him, and they look rubbish. But until then, when you've got players like Murphy and they're like coming on, I'm sorry, and Amron, I thought he was an invisible man. Me in the second half. I really do think, Wednesday's massive, like we've all said, for confidence-wise for the rest of the season going forward. I'll let Magnus get on, but I was foaming at the fact of, you knew what was happening. I've supported the club for 56 years now, lads, and we're as far away from winning a trophy than we've ever been. And that's what saddens us. That's what's, the younger lads who are 20, 30 have got time on their side, but when you get into your 60s, you think, am I ever going to see them win a trophy? Ever.
The heart bleeds. The heart bleeds, Alan.
George, at least you've seen them win 3 FA Cups. Ten Hag's been sacked and he's won an FA Cup and a League Cup. I would die for something like that. But I'll let Magnus get on because I'm on a downer.
Okay,
Get a rattle out, George.
Magnus.
Yes. Let's do it. The club is coming up, man. Let's not be too negative. But what I'm struggling with is the fact that I didn't feel Chelsea were that good on the day, and I don't feel they are that good most days. And for me, this is why I'm really disappointed. Okay, they score one relatively sort of easy goal for them, but we got back into the game. And what drives me crazy, we didn't use that momentum well enough. We scored a goal, and then we just sort of calmed down a little bit. The second goal of Chelsea, it comes on the 46th minute. And I feel that's plenty of time to recover and do some damage. Dan Burn and Fabian Schär did not look very great yesterday. I have to agree with the boys on the first goal, why he would go for the tackle and not stay in his backs and try to force him off. It's like Kevin said, it's a textbook, just like the other day when Bruno kicked the ball across the area. I'm seeing a better quality in a lower rank division. Chelsea were not that great, and I am struggling to see the point of Steve with Tonali. I still felt he was one of the stronger players of the pitch. How he the last couple of games, it feels to me that Eddie Howe has already decided he's going to make this substitution or that substitution before the game even starts, and that's how I feel right now. I am a big follower and supporter of Eddie Howe, but lately it has not been looking great. I want him to be there for 20 years. I don't think anybody else has said that. I want him to stay there for 20 years. But I can understand that maybe he doesn't need to impress me. He needs to impress his own bosses. And right now, it doesn't really feel like he's accomplishing that. How we didn't cover Cole Palmer well enough, it's just beyond me. There should have been somebody on him like a backpack all game long. And he's the guy that is always going to cause damage. And I just struggle to see the strategy that we are doing here. We came from a few first games that we were lucky and playing badly, over to playing a decent football with good passing and keeping a great ball possession and not scoring. I don't know what I dislike them more. What's worse, not getting results or not getting performances? I'm almost thinking that I enjoyed it more when we didn't perform and got the points on the board. I know I shouldn't say that, but yeah, we any of our opponents, we are giving them way too much space, and I just thought football was all about that, giving nobody no chance to play their football, and I just feel like we are backing off too much, and I want to see much more sort of forceful and sort of angry togetherness on the pitch. I have to also touch up on that captaincy, because I was happy when Bruno got the captaincy. He has not shown me anything to suggest that he's a good captain. He needs to be the one pulling them up from the ground when things go bad. He needs to be the one plotting them together and patting them on the back when we are struggling. And I'm not seeing any of it. So I have to agree with George and Steve and everybody. I'm not sure if he is the captain that I thought he would be. So I'm devastated about that. And this all comes to the sort of same issue that we've been talking about a lot. We didn't improve the squad enough last two transfer windows. Even if you look at Erik ten Hag, who got sacked today, he got 700 million in 2.5 years to improve his squad, and he still didn't manage to do it. So what we are dealing with is a fraction of that. They could have bought Newcastle United twice for that price, for what our owners bought it. I am thinking we need to put full force in January. I know it's only October, so there's no almost point in talking about it. We've got to deal with what we got. But I think we need to put the pedal to the metal in January and start buying like there's nobody's business. If it does cost us points, so be it. I'm fed up with playing and dancing around the rules that they change all the time just to suit them, to make sure that we come no closer to the top 4 or 6 clubs. I'm fed up with it. I don't want to see it anymore. We must open the wallet and go nuts in January.
Okay, I'm going to finish the program. Yeah, I'm going to finish the program by going around the board just to talk a little bit about the cup match, George. So we'll come to you now. You can say what you want to say, and then what do we do to change this on Wednesday?
Well, somebody's just put on the bottom on the chat about us missing Trippier's nose, and I think that's absolutely right. That's on the pitch, and off the pitch, we're missing Amanda Staveley. Never mind. Wednesday night's cup match. It's a must-win. Otherwise, the lads have said it. Season's over. But as somebody who's like Eddie Howe since he come, and some of the good things he's done been fantastic. But I sincerely believe if we lose on Wednesday, he's under as much pressure as anybody, if not more. And then it'll be having to beat Arsenal and the likes of that to save his neck. I think we can beat them on Wednesday if we just plug the holes on Saturday, because we've showed enough to get the goals against them. And I firmly believe that we could turn the result round 2-1 to us on Wednesday night.
Okay, some positivity at last tonight. Darren, what would you do to change it on Wednesday, and what's your views? Can we get through to the last 8?
I would change about 5 players. I would change. I don't think if we'd turn up and give it, how we know how we can play, we'll beat them all day long. So I'm going to go for a 2-1, same as George on Wednesday. We need to roll our socks up and take and play a football. How we know we can play a football instead of being a soft touch and get into them. But we've got 2 big games coming up, so I would rather lose tomorrow and beat Arsenal in the league. I think the league's more important.
Okay. What about you, Barry? How do you see Wednesday going? What would you do to change it? Is Darren right? Is the game against Arsenal more important? Does it really come to that? Yeah, we're on mute, Barry.
Eddie always turns around and says that it's the next game's the most important. So I think I think Longstaff should play. I think he's got to drop one of the 3 because it's not working. Which one? I wouldn't drop Tonali. I would take one of the other 2 out. But then will Howe do that? Will he push Tonali on the bench? I agree with George. I think we could take them. I think we've got to have that big confidence in ourselves. Hopefully, playing them so soon, we can learn from the lessons playing them at the weekend. Look at what we've struggled against, but whether we've got to do it. like Darren says, maybe bring Kelly in, stick him alongside one of the other two, give him a chance in the cup. It's what tends to happen anyway. I do hope, like somebody's just said in the chat there, that Gordon's got a chance of playing, because I think without him, I think we're going to really struggle. But I'm going with George. I think we'll beat them. I think 2-1. I'm hoping that Eddie manages to turn it around and get a reaction out of them, but I do think there's an awful lot starting to rest on it.
Okay, thoughts, Kev? Wednesday night is the thoughts turn to the cup game.
Excuse me. Simple phrase, go back to basics. It's hard work, desire, togetherness. That will get us through at St James's Park on a Wednesday night game against Chelsea, because I genuinely think we can win. I'm not going to put a scoreline on it. This juncture of our season, we just got to get through to the next round. It doesn't matter how it happens. I don't care what we got to do. Just get through to the next round. It might not be pretty and go to penalties. Don't really care. We've just got to get through to the next round. And finally, I know you, Steve, been speaking to my lovely wife. Just so you fellas know, I'm planning a trip here soon to get back over to England. So I might be seeing you in the very, very near future. So
book me holidays.
All right. Well, I didn't want to see you anyway.
Well said, Kevin.
Well, I think for the pen, Kevin.
Good one. Good one.
Well said, Kevin. Well said.
Good stuff. Spenny, how do you see this Wednesday going?
Yeah,
Well, what I'll do, I'll put Kraft in for Shah, because Kraft played better with Burn at the beginning of the season when Shah was better out. I'll put him in, and I'll put Jonathan on the left and put Longstock in the middle if Gordon's up playing. That's what I would do, and I'm going for a 3-1 win.
Okay. Lee?
Jesus Christ, Spenny, have you been reading my mind? First and foremost, Kev, just hold up that cup thing that you was drinking out of. It's about the only cup we're going to win, isn't it? Right, no. Yeah, do you know what? Spenny's
got a handle. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I did see it. Spenny's right. I would give Kraft a shot. For me, I'd go all for it. I'd just put Kelly and Kraft in, because that's how naffed off I am with the centre backs. However, he's not going to have the balls to do that. So I think just one change at centre back. Longstaff, as it pains me to say, because I think he is bang average. However, he will pull his plums out. So I'll put him in. I'd probably take Bruno out, to be honest, and just see if there's a reaction that way. I think we've got to hope that Chelsea, it depends how serious Chelsea are looking at this cup. I disagree with Darren. I think we've got to put all our eggs in one basket now. We've got to go for it. It is our only chance that we're ever going to have a winning out. So I think we've got to go full throttle. Whatever full throttle is, I don't know, because we haven't got it. But, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd say we've just got to hope that Chelsea have an off day. 2 little changes for me. And just go at it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get something.
Okay, good stuff. Alan?
Well, I don't know if anybody noticed that, but when Joe Linton went off, I think he was hobbling off. So I get the impression Joe Linton will not play on Wednesday, to be honest. So Longstaff in for Joe Linton, to be honest. And I'd have Lloyd Kenny in, like Darren said. But I disagree with Darren on that. With Pablo, this is a massive game. I'd rather win to tomorrow night than Saturday, although I want to win them both anyway. That's just me being greedy as usual. But I'll go 3-1 and pray to God that will win. But I've got my house, cat and dog on Chelsea, so it doesn't matter either way I'm going.
Lastly, you, Magnus, what would you change? What's your views about tonight, about Wednesday's game?
Yeah, no, we spoke quite a lot about Nick Pope, the youngest goalkeeper that we got out of the 5 goalkeepers that we got, is the Greek number 1. I am feeling like he should get the opportunity to start. Now, I agree with the lads. I would like to see Emil Kraft and Lloyd Kelly start the game, and I would like Sanusi to start up on the right flank. And that would be the changes that I do. I've already ordered a shirt with his name on the back. So he's going to have to play one game at least. And yeah, often when we play 2 games in a row against the same opponent, I am hopeful to get a draw in one of them and win in one of them. So we didn't get the draw. I'm still hoping for the win. It's a 2-0 for me because I would expect changes also of Chelsea because they got more contests to deal with than we are.
Great stuff. Great panel. Thanks to Magnus, Alan, Pablo, Spenny, Kev, Barry, and to Darren and George. Thanks to you for watching. I'm back 1 o'clock tomorrow. We're talking.
Good to see you, lads. Good to see you.
Up for the cup! Up for the cup!
Always a pleasure, man. Bring it! Bring it!
Up for the cup, George!
Get in!
Take care, lad.
We've got to get to Wembley. That's the first time it's been painted since 1955, man.
Yeah, I'm coming to join you if it happens. You know? Cheers.
Enjoy the rest of your birthday, Kevin. Take care. Good night.
Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Big thanks to all our sponsors,
Thank you.
Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can contact them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. A big thanks to our NUFC Matters fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Contact them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, or telephone 01670 632 460, or mobile 0791 666 4174. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. And don't forget, we are also a podcast, and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, you can hit the like button, which is the little thumb under each video. You can click the share button to share it to other social media, or subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button, and it is for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the join button, and you can join the channel for $1.99 a month to help support us. We do promote events on this channel. Derek Wright is holding his official book launch at the Tyneside Irish Centre, 15th of November. Tickets are £22, and that does include a signed book. Tickets are from newcastlelegends.com. Gold Star Promotions and Gateshead Leisure Centre are bringing Lennox Lewis to the area as part of his UK tour. You can get tickets by calling 0191 250 5066. Tickets start at £39. The Long Sands are back in aid of Dementia Matters and being supported by Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band. Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. Tickets £15 from newcastlelegends.com or from the Clooney box office. Peter Beardsley will be at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 10th of January, 2025. Tickets are available from newcastlelegends.com or from Woucher. An Evening with the Entertainers takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, the 24th of January 2025. You can buy tickets for that now from the box office 0844 249 1000 or from the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And the Magpie Lounge is now open at Gateshead Leisure Centre. 7 tokens for £99. Call 0191 250 5066 to book your tickets today. And the first of those tokens will be the 31st of January, an evening with Lee Clark. If you just want to buy tickets separately, call 0191 250 5066. And the book everyone's talking about, The Entertainers, 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, is on sale now. The book will be posted out on the 1st of December, written by Will Scott. Over 30 contributors to this book. newcastlelegends.com or Amazon to buy it today.